Can you hear me now, Neil?
I think I can hear you all right.
Good. So you've been busy as hell. You just got back to the States. And I gotta just ask you a question, because every time I talk to you, you're either getting on a plane or getting off a plane, or I can't reach you because you're on a plane. How do you do it, man? Like, how do you just keep grinding the way you are, man? It's unbelievable what you're able to do.
I just don't want to think about it. So it's just kind of like get on and got to get off. I mean, and just move on. I own an airplane, G5. I'm just kidding. No, I just, fly coach. So, I flew back, from Geneva. I arrived last night. Like I came home like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. But flying back, again, it's a coach, and I never sit by the window. This time around, that's the only seat I had. I was sitting by the window. It's like 3 people in. I mean, I literally felt that my butt is just going to explode because you couldn't move. And that was for 10 and a half hours. I mean, it's just like, all right, man. But anyway, I survived. I mean, like I say, I always say, what doesn't kill me makes me strong. So, I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, you're always moving and grooving. So,
Yeah,
and that's, hey,
yeah.
as a shareholder, that's what I like to hear. So, I want to just get right to it. Let's talk about the LOI. It outlines a valuation of approximately 13 cents a share on a fully diluted basis. Do you believe that this fully reflects the value of CVAT and its subsidiaries today, or should this be viewed as more of an initial baseline subject to potential adjustment?
Well, Eric, we need to slice it and dice it, because part of it is this. We have Cavitation Technologies, and, perhaps there's assigned value because there are newer technologies that were also brought on board, but there's also an Alchemy and Zyra. So until I really get the valuation reports, it's hard for me to pinpoint and say too high, too low, or we're right in the right range. I can only tell you one thing, that about 2021, Alchemy was going to be bought out by a NASDAQ company. And they were writing about, the check for about $10 million. I mean, it was, I guess, I'm trying to remember. I think it was some cash and stock, but they are tier 1 NASDAQ company and stuff like that. And the only reason, we signed all the paperwork. They, that particular company owned, several restaurants. And because of alcoholic beverages license, that ran into a roadblock because of our license with Cameo Vodka. By the time we figured things out, market in 22, 23 started to deteriorate, so the transaction never took place. But at the time, where we didn't even have a bar muse, as a product it is, it was about $10 million. So
Wow.
I'm not going to dwell on the fact of what it's going to be like, but like I said, we definitely would need to get certain things done, and we'll just go from there.
Right on. Yeah, Bar Muse. Hey, I have one. You've lent me one to use, and it's a great, phenomenal product. Actually, really enjoy it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, not at 10 in the morning. Not 10 in the morning though. So you have the proof of funds now. All right, 45 million, and that's great. Can you provide? Can you give us some additional detail on the nature of those funds, and specifically, are they fully liquid and committed, or subject to any conditions or restructuring, perhaps?
Well, I've met EGS in Geneva for roughly 3 days, and again, they provided proof of funds. It is all liquid assets. So these are not some derivative products or something else or some form of bonds. These are all liquid products that could be turned into cash within 1 or 2 days tops. And from what I sit down and talk to their compliance officer, the lady came in. They clearly have larger assets, or the ability to come in. But let's not dive into it. But as far as I can tell you, I mean, they're fairly liquid.
Excellent. As this process moves forward, which of the remaining conditions, due diligence, fairness opinion, shareholder approval, or regulatory review, which one do you think do you view as the most significant risk to getting this thing done?
Frankly, I cannot really pinpoint a particular element where I say, there's a bottleneck. I would have to, figure things out. But mostly I think it's a process, because remember, EGS and their entities would like to acquire through, in essence, three companies, which is, Cavitation Technologies, Alchemy Beverages, and Zyra Corp. Each one of our entities has its own line of business, which we're not stopping, no matter how we move forward. I think our bottleneck is the time frame, because I'll give you an example. Our initial agreement with the EGS was based on Liechtenstein and Swiss laws. We changed that in LOI to the US. Well, it means that EGS is looking to engage the US firm, because their legal counsel perhaps can be providing some supervision, but they're not familiar with US laws, just like we're not very much familiar with Liechtenstein laws. So, for example, stuff like this may take a little extra time. We've discussed quite a bit the fact that, all right, if EGS wants to take all the assets privately, how the process is going to work, how the shares, how they have to be deposited with our transfer agent, how the process will take place, is there going to be minimum? I mean, these are things that we anticipate August 1, but I mean, sometimes it may just take longer. Then we need to go through process. So, like I said, I think this is our biggest challenge, to do it within the time frame. But we are starting Monday. We'll roll up the sleeves and going to start getting quite a bit of work done. Let me just give you one more example. Because it is a foreign, EGS is a foreign entity, and they are buying a U.S. asset. So today, and don't ask me what is it called, but we need to go through certain government entities to provide the information and receive an okay back, stating that certain technologies that we have, going abroad, likely they could be utilized in the U.S. but also abroad, and I think some form of scrutiny or review will be required. Usually, from what I hear, it's about 2 to 3 week process, but it may take longer. So, for example, this is something I have no way of knowing. In other words, we submit the paperwork and may come back very quickly. But what I'm saying is, this is probably our biggest challenge, to do it by August 1.
Excellent. I mean, hey, if you're able to pull that off, then I don't know. You guys always do what you say you're going to do, so it wouldn't shock me if that was the case. And I want to talk a little bit about that 60-day exclusivity period. By the way, because of this PR and what you have going on, I can now say exclusivity without a problem. That used to be the worst word for me to say. So let's talk a little exclusivity. do you view this? I got it down, man. You learn something new every day. But how do you view this in terms of strategic positioning? Does it limit the ability to explore alternative or potentially higher offers, or does it reflect confidence in EGS as the preferred partner?
Well, it's it's a bit tricky. We wanted to, they EGS wanted to do actually, write a language that has a ROFR, right of first refusal. It has tricky stuff. So we've decided, all right, let's stay away from that. Let's just stick with exclusivity. Part of it is what EGS wanted to avoid is for us, we receive a commitment. Now we take the paper, go elsewhere and say, well, here's the carrot. Is there anybody else who's going to be coming in and get it done? So what they're coming back and saying, all right, guys, for the first 60 days, let's get certain things done, including valuation. Let's come back and figure out what the numbers are. We believe that we provide you with a fair value. Well, that's their call. And, we'll go from there. Like I said, what they wanted to avoid for us to go on the shopping expedition, like, hey, here we are. Maybe somebody's going to write slightly bigger check. So this is where we are. And like I said, I think it's fair as far as, what they give us and what we give them. And there's just some work needs to be done. That's about it.
Right on. And you know what? I got a couple more questions for you. And by the way, after that long flight and long trip that you've had, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and share these answers with us, as shareholders are getting excited because this is really big news. So thanks for taking the time. I appreciate that. Cool. Regarding I want to talk about the fairness opinion. Do you anticipate it aligning with the current valuation range, or I talked a little bit about this earlier. Is there potential to influence negotiations depending on its findings? So, and to that, I'm talking about Zyra. I'm talking about alchemy. I'm talking about, those divisions.
Well, there are certain things I do not have the privilege to discuss at this time, just because of certain NDA things that are taking place. But I can tell you one thing, that we as a company still continue doing business as usual. We had a fairly long presentation in Geneva, had a meeting with EGS and Zyra. We did have a chance to dive into a lot of details, what Zyra is up to, what we're doing, the directions the company is going. So give me about next 10 to 14 days, and I'll be reporting, I think, some interesting results or some interesting facts about what Zyra is doing, what's taking place. So again, back to your question, you just got to give me a little bit of time, because like I mentioned to you, Alchemy was about $10 million, whereas considerably different company, including fully audited. Is it 10 million or less? I mean, let's just be a little bit more patient. I'll come back with a lot of information to you guys in a relatively short period of time.
I want to bring this up. You had the picture that you posted, and there was a lady there presenting as well too. Who was that lady? And I don't know if we've really ever covered it, but I know I've mentioned it before, but who is she and why is she so significant? What's a little bit about her background too?
Maria Medvedeva, she was a GM of MasterCard Middle East. So she resides in Riyadh. We have access to pretty much anybody who is somebody in that world. So primarily Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Bahrain. Sure, there was a lot of friction in the last month or so in the Middle East, but it seems to be things are starting to get settled. So she was a GM at MasterCard for 6 years, grew that business tremendously. She's well recognized. For example, she was giving, I think several months ago, she was giving a presentation with the ambassador of the United States. They had like a roundtable discussion. So she had, by the way, she's an American citizen. So she does work in Riyadh, but she's a U.S. citizen. So she was the one who is really in the forefront of the fintech area of and that's the reason she was brought in to have a very close discussion with EGS, explaining what Zyra is, what we're about, how unique we are, what the model is. So, like I said, it was probably, I don't know, at least half a day that we had a meeting. Then afterwards, Maria and I spent several days also going through what Zyra does. So again, I'll come back to everybody in the next, like I said, hopefully the next 2 weeks to give you a lot more information on that.
And that has to do, guys, with the remittance payments and all that good stuff. So to have someone of that caliber on your team is freaking awesome. And so I think, you know what, I the sentiment is, for me personally, I know you really can't discuss this, but I'm going to bring this up because one of our traders in the community wanted to bring this up. We can't believe there hasn't been a crazy amount of support in the stock. His name's Shido. He's a well-known trader in the OTC. And he says this, he goes, I'm very interested in CVAT. I really want to see this deal go through. I'm so puzzled that the stock can't see any traction. It makes no sense at all to me. I can't be with you guys live, but I would love to hear Neil make a remark on what his take is that the stock is stuck below 4 cents with that buyout offer on the table. I realize company people won't and often can't comment directly on their stock price in general, but damn it. He should be puzzled about it as well. So, I mean, I had to share that with you. So,
well, look,
and I know you can only comment on so much.
Not only that, we do not, listen, there's a large gap between the offer and where we're trading today. But on top of it, the volume is fairly low. I mean, I look at this 200,000-300,000 shares a day. There's not much going on. I guess there's not enough buyers and not enough sellers to really do much about it. So sooner than later, I think the information is going to spread out and people are going to learn about it. I mean, listen, from our perspective, it doesn't change much. That we're going to do business as we do. For example, when I met EGS, we talked about the following. It's going to cost us roughly $50,000 to do diligence, do some legal work, and so on and so forth, just from our end. I did ask them if they would provide the financial, means to take care of it. Verbally, we agreed to it. We just need to draft some things on paper. They said, okay, just submit invoices or proposals that you're going to receive, and we'll be taken care of. So from our end, we're moving forward.
So that was EGS? EGS did that?
Yeah.
So EGS paid for, they're going to supply the funding to get these things done.
Right. That's exactly what we asked him, to do, and we verbally did agree to it. Like I said, that's something we're going to be getting done in the next, probably 7 to 10 days. But again, that's it. These are, it's like, another brick in the wall. You slowly, kind of put this up. Whatever comes around, and we got to continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah, okay. And I'm just going to say this from my perspective. It seems like they have a lot of confidence in what they're setting out to do with you guys. If they're willing to do that, that's huge. That's an indicator for me personally. That's what I think. You could agree or disagree. I don't know if you can.
I know.
But yeah, no, I think that's great. So I want to thank you for coming on and giving us an update. You guys are really crushing it. I think personally that you guys are going to get this deal done, and I like how it's set up right now. And thank you for taking that question from Shido as well.
All right, man. Listen, I'm always open. So glad that you invited me. And listen, like everybody has a great work week. All right. I'll talk to everybody, sometime during this week. We'll look for our postings because we're more active right now on our social media side. And like I said, once things become more meaningful to update, I'll definitely provide it.
Absolutely.
Thanks
a lot. All right,
Good
buddy.
To see you.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Thank you.